Hello and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And always glad to welcome in our favorite dietitian from Rouses, April Sins. Hello, April.
Hello, Keith. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're so glad you're here. And I am excited to see what we have in store today. It looks really healthy.
Just what you've been waiting for, some cauliflower dishes. This is like the perfect time for it.
It really
and I'll tell
is.
you why, Keith. You know, around this time of year, we've had Thanksgiving, and then we're working our way toward the Christmas holidays. We're kind of like in that in between. So we've been like eating a lot of different things. Maybe like we've been eating a lot of casseroles at Thanksgiving, and then we kind of like have been eating a lot of sweet treats and those sorts of things. But sometimes this middle of the season, middle of the holidays, is a good time to think about how do I get some more vegetables in the mix just to kind of stay on track. So that way I'm not way off, once we get round out the new year.
Right.
So I think that this cauliflower dish is a really great way to just add some vegetables to the table.
Okay.
I'm not telling you to just have just this cauliflower dish and that's it. Add this to your meal. I think that this is a really great, unique type of way.
Okay.
So it's basically like, some people like to call them a cauliflower steak. Now, it's not like a steak, like a meat steak,
Right.
but we cut it sort of like a steak.
Okay.
So the way that you do this is you basically take your cauliflower head and then you turn it on its side like this, and then you're going to cut it like this. Now, depending on the size of your cauliflower, it's going to vary with how many steaks you get off of the cauliflower. Also, you want to make sure that you give it about an inch thickness in between, because otherwise it might fall apart. So this is a really super simple dish. We're going to pan saute these cauliflower steaks. Very, very easy. And in fact, you can dress it up or dress it down however you would like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into this pan here, and we're going to add some Rouses olive oil to it. I like to cook in my Rouses olive oil. It's one of the most versatile oils. I like it because it has those antioxidants. It also has some unsaturated fat, which is considered a better for you type of fat. It's not necessarily less in calories. It is the same calories as all other fats, but it is a better for you type of fat. So Rouses olive oil in the pan. I have some shallots that's cut up. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can do shallots like this. If you want to use what you might have in your refrigerator, like I do a lot of times. If it says shallot, sometimes I'll just use onions. You can use either one. Shallots really give off like an onion vibe, so you can interchange those. So I just chopped up a little bit. I'm going to put it in the pan, saute it in that olive oil, and then once that gets a little bit soft, I'm going to add in the cauliflower steaks. Now you can see I cut them round and then I cut them in half, just so that they're a little bit easier to flip.
Right.
And what's really nice about that is they get nice and brown on both sides when you flip them.
Right.
It's a really pretty dish. And then it also gets brown from like the shallot vibes off of here, and then that olive oil. It makes it so, so pretty. You can also roast cauliflower. That's another way that I like to cook it. And I like to also use my Rouses olive oil for that as well, where you can put this on a pan and in one flat layer, and then make sure that it's coated with your oil. Put your seasoning on top, and then you can roast it in the oven, probably about 375 to 400 degrees for just a few minutes. There are some great recipes on Rouses.com that have cauliflower in it as well. A lot of people think of cauliflower in the winter just because it is one of those kind of wintry type of vegetables.
Right.
And let me grab my spatula here. So that's all you really have to do. And then we're going to put on a little bit of sea salt at the end to sort of give it some of those vibes.
Right.
Now, I also have some vegetable broth. So a lot of times whenever you're cooking and you're sauteing some things down, a lot of times you need a little bit of liquid in that pan just to pull up those flavors off of the pan. And then you also can use that liquid to add as a gravy, if you will, to the dish. So I'm just flipping these over, and you should smell. I wish you could smell how good this smells. Those cooked onions / shallots. Those really add a lot of flavor to this. Now, before it's done, I'm just going to show you, I'm going to put a little bit of this vegetable broth into here. This is a low sodium vegetable broth you can find on the shelves at Rouses. And then once it's softened up, once you have it nice and browned on both sides, we're going to add it to a plate. Now, I'm going to show you, I added it to this plate right here, and I have it on top of a bed of greens just to make it really look pretty, with a little parsley on the top as well. And you can see how nice and brown those sides of that cauliflower get. It's a great way to add a vegetable to the dish. I have a little bit of sea salt on the side, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on top. And if you want, if you're like, April, that looks good, but it needs a little sauce on it. It needs a little something on top. So I actually, sometimes whenever we eat some seafood, we have some of our little Bayou dipping sauce from Rouses. Okay. And I said, you know what, I just squirted a little bit on myself, Keith, but that would be a really good thing to put on the top. So, hey, you never know what's going to happen right here on Bayou Time on the Eat Right with Rouses segment, where I just sprayed myself with a little bit of Bayou sauce, but that's okay. I'm Cajun.
That's right. Cajun girls can handle that. Those named April with an apron can handle all of that. It looks perfect and very delicious. And thank you for running right on time, April. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Keith.
All right. And that'll do it for this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. But don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.
Rouses Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouses.